LinkedIn marketing is a game, and I'm about to show you how to win. Now, I've built 2 7-figure businesses directly off the back of LinkedIn. And by the end of this video, you're gonna understand how I did it step by step, meaning you'll understand every side of the LinkedIn game board. So you know exactly which strategies are gonna allow you to get more clients and ultimately scale your business. And if you stick around to the very end, I'm gonna give you my one strategy for predictably going viral on LinkedIn and getting more reach than you ever thought possible, along with my exact scripts that get clients each and every month for my businesses. So without further ado, let's get into how to win the game of LinkedIn. Welcome to the game of LinkedIn. Now, I want you to imagine that you're this cool race car down here, and we are going to be starting on go. So the first step that we need to get locked in is our profile. Now, our profile on LinkedIn, I want you to treat as a landing page. And what the perfect profile does is really communicates who you are, what you do, and the outcome that you get. Your agency, consulting firm, B2B businesses, positioning is what is communicated here. And you're going to have top performing posts, case studies, videos as featured content. We're going to touch on that in a second. It has an about section that clearly states what you do and who your agency serves. You have creator mode turned on, meaning that you're going to prioritize followers over connections for the time being. You have one CTA link and you have a cover photo that clearly communicates what it is that you do. For example, you can see here, I help agencies, consultants, and B2B service providers scale. Now, if we move one step further over to featured content is a piece of your profile that I can take all of my past performing posts, my best videos, my best case studies, my best lead magnets, and put them front and center on my profile. These pieces of content still bring me clients, even though I've posted them 6, 8, 12 months ago, because I have my top performing stuff featured on my actual page. Now, if I zoom out here again, I need a strong CTA on my profile. You can set a custom CTA on your profile using this link, and you'll see a little pencil up here in the right hand corner. So what you're going to do is come over, click that pencil, you can customize the text, and then drive them to an actual landing page. Now, what do you want to prioritize as your CTA? Well, I'm of the mentality that you should have one CTA that drives them to the primary mechanism that you want leads to convert through, right? So for me, I want book calls from my LinkedIn. I've already built trust. The framing is already clear on what I do. And so I drive them straight to the calendar. Now, alternatively, you could drive them to a video sales letter, or you could drive them to a lead magnet, or you could drive them to your YouTube if you want to nurture them with more content before the call. This has worked well for me, so I drive them straight to a calendar booking, but many endpoints you can do there. The main thing that you want to avoid is don't have a bunch of CTAs in your profile. So if you have this link, don't send them to a different link in your about section or in featured content or anywhere else. Send them to the one destination. So this link should mirror whatever else you have lower down on your profile. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is make sure your profile passes the 3-second test. Now, what do I mean by the 3-second test? Well, it goes back to, can I tell who you are, what you do, and who you serve in 3 seconds of looking at your profile? On my profile, you definitely can do that. It says so in my cover photo, and then it also shows my experience up here in my headline and a CTA around what it is that I do. So my brain can make the association that, oh, okay, this person might know how to scale agencies, consultants, and B2B service providers. Cool. Am I one of those things, and do I want to scale my business? That is what I mean when it comes to, does it pass the 3-second test? If your profile doesn't do that, or it's ambiguous or unclear, keep refining the language in your cover photo and your headline until it does pass that test, because it is a landing page and people are simply going to leave and not connect with you, not follow you if it doesn't seem applicable. What's the next piece that I want to move to on the game board? It's going to be recommendations and skills. You can see that LinkedIn recommendations, these are clients, current and past of mine, that speak very highly of what we've done together. If you're a service provider, you also want your clients to be speaking highly of you. And this is a great place to feature that. You can also receive and give recommendations here. There's going to be pending ones. If you have any, make sure you review and approve those. Very powerful to have social proof featured on your profile in this way. The next piece of your profile is going to be skills. Now, we're getting pretty far down on the profile, so this stuff doesn't matter as much. but I want to feature some skills that I perceive myself to be good at, and people are going to endorse you for those. Now, when I'm starting out, I only want to have 3 skills. I only start out with 3 skills, and you're going to rack up these endorsements. Once you hit 99 plus, then you can add more skills. But once again, this isn't really a needle mover for LinkedIn growth, okay? So the next piece of the game board is thought leadership content. What do I mean by thought leadership content? Well, it's content that actually positions you as an expert in your niche and is going to attract prospects to you. So now that my profile's taken care of, now I just need to worry about it getting seen. So the first piece that I'm going to worry about when it comes to content is what am I actually going to talk about that's going to get me clients, okay? So the first pillar of content that I like to focus on is lessons and learnings. So if you're an ad agency, I'm going to be talking about what am I seeing inside my clients' ad accounts right now? What creative formats are working? What trends am I seeing across industries? How am I integrating AI into my services? Very hot topic right now. What unique insight do you have that the rest of the market doesn't? i.e., I have my own data set of fashion brands or HVAC companies, doesn't matter. Whoever you serve, I have unique insight that someone would actually follow me for. So you can see an example of this for myself here in me saying advertising agencies are dead. Very compelling, punchy hook because, hey, that's a little bit sensational. What do you mean? If I'm an ad agency, I'm probably going to read that. Okay. And then I go on to talk about AI because I have a unique perspective on that in the agency marketplace. So lessons and learnings, this is the easiest one to nail down because you simply have to just audit what it is you are already doing for your current clients. The next thing I'm going to want to look at here is hot takes. So what do I disagree with the market on? What do your competitors do that you don't agree with, right? And it's okay to ruffle some feathers. Social engagement is built off the back of polarity. And polarity is really what is the emotion that I create when someone is reading this? What is the intensity of my reaction? That's what stirs engagement, and that's what these algorithms push. So like it or not, how can I use it to my advantage? Mine here as a hot take is offering guarantees on any kind of professional service is a quick way to devalue your work, attract needy clients, and be expected to deliver on unreasonable timelines, right? That's one side. Next, no one cares how hard you work. In entrepreneur culture, everyone's talking about, I work 90 hours a week, I hustle so hard. Nobody really cares. It's, do you get the desired result or not? Doesn't matter how much time it takes. Another potentially hot take. The next pillar is going to be your client conversations. So think about when you take a client through your onboarding or reporting process, what kind of questions do you get asked? So this could be on a sales call. I'm getting asked or told, hey, I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet. Or someone on a client reporting call is saying, hey, should we be putting out content here? I'm hearing about AI search engine optimization. What do you think about it? So really digest what questions you're being asked on reporting calls and what your prospects and your clients want to understand. Because guess what? If they have that question, other people who are thinking about working with you definitely have that question. And it's a great opportunity to give your 2 cents and actually attract them to you as a service provider. The next piece here is case studies. I want to be able to demonstrate our results, our competency, and explain our thought process behind the results that I'm actually getting. A mistake I see a lot of people make is, let's say you have a Shopify screenshot and you just show these results and it's like, oh, cool, you know, we got these numbers, but the reality is anyone could take a screenshot of a dashboard. Very few people can talk to why it worked and how it worked, which is actually going to be the value for the prospect downloading or viewing this case study. So I want to make sure that I'm actually explaining the result versus just showing the result, because that is what's going to attract more people to you. The next piece here is going to be building in public. So did I lose a new client recently? Did I win a new client recently? Did I make new hires? What am I studying right now? All of these things are events within your business that are already happening that you can use to get more attention on whatever it is that you're doing. I got vulnerable here and I explained a client situation that ultimately led to a client churning. Not a very fun thing to talk about, but it allows me to sit on the same side of the table as my prospect and say, hey, here's what I'm doing about it, and here's how I'm going to approach this situation in the future. Then my prospect or my reader can decide if working with me in that way makes sense or not. Next, I got lead magnets. Okay, lead magnets are the 80-20 of generating new business on LinkedIn. You've probably seen these where someone's giving something away and then there's a GIF or an image or some sort of a video, like a hype reel around what the tool actually does and is, and gets people to comment. So for example, this one was, we've closed 4, 5, and even 6-figure projects per month for our agencies. What's the common denominator? Having strong, detailed case studies that build authority and trust, prove your expertise and thought process, and reinforce your positioning. Then I'm giving them a CTA, comment CS, and I'll send it over. You can see you got 14,000 impressions and it had 211 people opt in to get this, all people that I can follow up with. So now that you understand this side of the game board, what other filters do I need to put this content through to actually make sure that it's good? Well, understand that your hook is 90% of the equation with any of these content styles. Typically, when I'm reviewing content for someone, this is the thing that I spend the most time on because it's really all that matters to some degree. Now, what I mean by this is these posts right here are the exact same thing. All I did was change the hook. So for example, when I'm on the phone with a prospect, I always book the follow-up meeting on the call versus waiting to follow up via email to get the call booked. See, it got 3,200 impressions, only had 13 likes, 3 comments, kind of flopped. Now, the thing is, I reworked the hook and said our discovery to pitch rate increased 200% by doing this one simple thing. And you can see it had 5 times the engagement and it had 300 less impressions. Why? Because this is a better hook. Same thing here. You get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problem you solve. Elon Musk, this is one of my favorite quotes. I reframe that to want to make more, solve higher value problems for your customers. You'd say it got 6 times the amount of impressions, reach, engagement. So your hook matters more than pretty much anything else. How do you go about writing a good post every time? So of all the content styles, I can take this framework that I call HSSRC and I can make a good post out of it. H for hook, we just covered that. Story and soul is next. So how can I add a personal touch to this, or a personal experience that actually makes it real and adds some humanity into the concept or the post? What's the struggle that you had to overcome? There's a reason why movies and every good piece of content out there follows a similar hero story. I have a problem, I unpack the story of how it applies to me, then I get to the end result or the happy ending. So with this, you're going to want to focus on the story or the soul. Then next, go into the solution. So how do I actually solve the problem for my prospect? And then the result or the lesson. And I call this landing the plane. Don't just ramble on and on. Actually explain what it is that you are trying to convey. And then lastly, your CTA. This post here was somewhat of a build in public, but also somewhat of a audience call out. So what if you actually showed up? Like what if you committed to building on LinkedIn consistently for 6 months? Then I added in my story. While I can't predict the future, I can tell you after booking hundreds of calls through direct messages and content is that I've landed tons of business on LinkedIn I never would have found otherwise. I've made incredible connections I never would have met otherwise. And I know more people know who I am and what I do. And here's what I know works, right? So what's the solution? Being consistent, iterating based on what data is telling me, continuing to show up even if the results aren't there. Here's what I know doesn't work. Complaining and doing nothing about it, not showing up in your content or DMs consistently, giving up after a couple weeks because you haven't closed the deal after sending 3 messages. Then I get into the result and the CTA. So there's so much upside here you're not tapping into because of your beliefs. A little bit of a follow-up here. And then I wasn't willing to leave that question unanswered. I hope you don't either. Then I give the CTA. If you want my exact SOPs for how I'm booking 40 meetings a month using LinkedIn, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to help. So you can see how that framework produces a good post, which brings me to formatting. You probably notice I'm using a lot of arrows here. I'm using a lot of paragraphs that break up the text. So understand that all the largest creators aren't typing books on LinkedIn. They're typing structured paragraphs that allow me to skim through the post and actually understand what it is that you are trying to tell me. So avoid lengthy paragraphs or clumps of sentences. Make sure you've got good conversational transitions and write ad copy like you're writing for a Facebook ad or an email instead of a blog post, right? And then lastly, on this side of the game board is recycling your content. So every 60 to 90 days, I recycle my content. And this allows me to not have to make net new stuff each and every month. And because 90% of the success lies in the hook, all I need to do is actually change the hook and it's going to appear like a completely unique post. And you also have a much larger audience that hasn't seen your post than those who have. Only about 10% of people are going to see your post every time. So most people didn't remember or they didn't see it. So make the original post, analyze the metrics, rewrite the post, and then repost the revised piece of content. This is the thought leadership side of the game board. So now let's cruise over to warm outreach. Okay, so now we're over here on the warm outreach side of the game. And what we're gonna do from here is take all of this attention that we've generated and actually turn it into leads, calls, and closed clients, which is probably why you're here in the first place. The first segment of warm outreach here is gonna be outreach to our followers or people who have outreached from our bio. So you'll notice in my bio, I have DM me the word grow if you're interested in learning exactly how I can help you scale. Now you can see that this person sent me the message grow. And from here, I can go ahead and start working this warm lead. So for me, my script is, would love to learn more about your agency and what your biggest challenge is with scaling right now. So understand this is inbound, and already the frame is completely different than me going outbound, right? This is someone who's seeking my expertise because of the content that they saw. Went ahead and booked a meeting here, but understand I'm just trying to get a response from this point. Next piece is going to be profile viewers. You can see who's viewed your profile here. I'm going to outreach and connect with that person and also send them a message. So thanks so much for viewing my profile. I hope you find value there. Really appreciate it. Did something specific catch your eye? Question mark. P.S. This is actually me. Now, I want to make sure that this doesn't come across weird or templated or that, AI is doing this outreach. So I send a highly personalized message here and that feels like it's actually coming from me. Once I've done that, I can kick off the conversation and actually progress it forward. And some people are going to say, hey, no, I was just checking out your profile. Other people are going to be like, yeah, I'm actually looking for what it is that you do. So the next piece that I'm going to want to look at is my comments. And the truth is, commenting is currency on LinkedIn. If I could give you one growth hack to grow your LinkedIn, it would be to comment for 1 to 2 hours a day. And I know that sounds like a lot of time, but in the beginning, this is what I did to actually get the most attention possible on my profile. Also understand, if you comment on someone's post consistently that has a lot of reach, no surprise, they're more likely to comment on your stuff. And this is how you can get accounts much larger than you commenting on your content and getting your content distributed to their audience, okay? That's how you're gonna get your post seen by second and third degree connections. Now, what I like to do is have a spreadsheet where I'm tracking all the creators that I actually want to engage with and that would be beneficial for my business. And then I go leave a meaningful comment on their stuff, not using AI. So it actually has to be good to attract new people toward you. This is how I'm going about building my network of people to engage with me. What I like to do is put all of these people into a spreadsheet, and this is actually going to allow me to keep track of creators that I want to work with in the future, or I want them to see my content and distribute my posts to their audience. Okay, so this just helps me keep track of everyone there. Definitely recommend doing that as well. All right, so let's move on to lead magnet work. And this is warm outreach again. If you remember from the thought leadership section, we went over how to actually do the lead magnet post. This is how we follow up to that post, right? So I have a bunch of people commenting on this, and this one I had almost 1,100 opt-ins, 32,000 impressions. And here's exactly how I'm working these DMs. This person went ahead and opted in, and then what I did is followed up with a question. Hey, what do you think the challenge is in scaling to your goal? So really what I'm doing here is opening up the conversation with my lead magnet. So I'm going to send them the resource and then follow up with a couple questions. Hey, where are you at in revenue right now? Hey, what do you think the biggest challenge is in scaling there? And they're just going to give me their pain point and their goals, which tees me up to position a call in a way that feels natural and congruent. So you can see here that I asked what the biggest challenge is in scaling to their target, and it said getting a good team together is what we're struggling with. We micromanage every little thing. And then look, this is the case. This training is going to be helpful, but it's not the magic bullet to hitting 60K. No lead magnet could be. Do you have 5 to 10 minutes later today to chat? We have clients in your space hitting those exact numbers, and I'd be happy to show you some of the frameworks that we're using. Hey, yes, I do. Go ahead, send my discovery call link over and booked it in for a meeting. So this is how you're going to work the lead magnet conversations that you are having. Then what are these scripts that I'm going to be looking at, or the script framework that I'm going to be looking at for new connections? So anytime I get a new connection or follower, I'm actually doing outreach to them and saying, hey, thanks so much for connecting. I really appreciate it. Just a heads up, I post content here daily. Hope to see you in the comments. And I put together a free resource on how to get new clients on on LinkedIn for your agency. If that'd be helpful, let me know. I'm happy to share. Either way, glad to have you here. I'm not going for the, hey, I only want to talk to you if you're interested in converting right now. That's really less important to me. I just want to get the conversation going and get the conversation opened up. Notice how I'm not saying, hey, book a call right now, or I never want to talk to you again. I'm simply trying to open the conversation so I can go back and forth and eventually set the meeting. All right, so now let's talk about following up. Look, everything in the game of outreach, warm or cold, all comes back to your follow-up. Here's the sequence that I use on my LinkedIn for both cold and warm outreach. Message one, I'm really hitting on their problem, the solution, and the result, and I'm going ahead and using some of the scripts that I had up here. The next piece that I'm going to go into is, hey, I forgot to mention this, and I'll typically insert a case study of someone else relevant that actually got the desired result that they're after as kind of a nudge to the original message, not saying, hey, did you get my message? I'm always adding value to the conversation. Message number 3 is just name with a question mark. And then message number 4 is kind of like the breakup message, or hey, I'll follow up with you later if they haven't responded here. All of these messages work incredibly well. Another bonus one that I like to use is, hey, name, is this still a priority for you? Is scaling your business still a priority for you? Is getting help with your creative still a priority for you? Is, reducing your customer acquisition cost still a priority for you? That really hits them in the mode of like, that is a priority for me. I should probably get back to this person. Or they have to sit there and accept that it's not a priority for them. All right, so now let's cruise over to cold DMs. We are about to round out the entire game of LinkedIn. Saved one of the most powerful mechanisms possible for last, which I still think is cold DMs on LinkedIn. Super underutilized, right? So you guys are about to get some sauce if you still stuck around with me here. First step is going to be list building. We're going to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator for our cold outreach. You're going to be able to come in here, punch in all of your criteria of who you actually go after, what traits they have, where they work, what company size, what keywords they have in their profile, and all of that. Then what we're going to be able to do is save all of them to a list. Okay, you're going to see the save searches here. If you scroll down inside of LinkedIn, you're going to be able to see how you actually save that list. And this is who we're going to connect with and do outreach to. Now, I'm going to show you my secret filter that boosts my results by up to 20 to 30% just with this one click of a bubble. And it's in the recent updates tab inside of Sales Navigator. So you can see posted on LinkedIn, changed jobs. And this really proves to me that, hey, this person is active on LinkedIn. They're actually creating here, or they changed jobs. So I know that they're actively logging into it. Do not deviate from using this process because it literally can impact your results 20 to 30%. If there's one tip I can give you on cold outreach, it would be using active targeting for any list that you end up pulling down. Now, the next piece is your actual connection strategy, okay? You've probably gotten messages where it's like, hey, name, it's such a pleasure to connect. Or, hey, I saw we have similar interests. It's such a pleasure to connect. Literally send your connection request blank. You're going to get another 20 to 30% lift in the amount of people that actually connect with you. And remember, the more people that connect with you that are ideal clients, the more people that see your content, the more people that are likely to book calls. So send your connections blank. Let your profile do the work. If your profile is set up from early on in the game, your profile does all the talking you need to. You don't need to justify yourself, because when a connection request comes in, I can see the headline in my profile of who I am, what I do, and who I serve. So let's move on to the scripts. You're probably wondering, what scripts do I send to the people that I've saved in my list to actually go ahead and get them to respond? All right, so let's move on to the scripts. Now that we actually have the right list, we have them accepting our connection request, how are we actually going to get them to respond to a message and book a meeting with us? Well, I'm just going to give you my top performing scripts right here because you stuck around to the end. So my first script is a direct outreach script. This is what it looks like. I know this is random, but you seem like the best person to reach out to for this. I'm looking to chat with a few more. Insert your target prospect. This is my name. Here's my credibility. And if you're open to it, I'd love to find 10 to 15 minutes to learn more about your business and see if it's a potential fit to help you scale. I'm going to insert my discovery link, and then worst case scenario, I'll share a few ideas that have been working really well for other agencies, other consultants, other brands. Insert your avatar here with a similar model to yours. That's script number 1. Script number 2 is an indirect outreach script. And this is super powerful because this just gets your prospects to unload their pain points to you in a way that you can position yourself to solve it. So script B is, I know this is random, but you seem like the best person to reach out to for this. I'm doing some research into where Target are focusing their time and effort this Q4. I'll be sharing a write-up and analysis with everyone who's kind enough to take a moment to respond. What's your primary focus for Q4? What this does is, hey, I'm putting together a research report, so I'm automatically positioning myself as a thought leader. I'm going to distribute this, which is a fantastic piece of content that's a moat that's hard for everyone else in my industry to create, and I can give my unique perspective on that data. So I'm crowdsourcing information here. People always want to look at research. Here's the beauty of both message types, right? So if I go up here, this is my direct outreach message. You can see someone first rip booked a call for this week. And I'm awesome, looking forward to it. Then once again, this is the back half of the message. Here's my call booking link. Booked. Sounds like a plan. Go ahead, booked, right? So you can see the direct outreach message does work. And this is a top performing message type for a lot of my clients right now. Now, these are the responses from script B, the indirect script, right? And you can see I love random messages and requests. Good hook, right? And then once again, good luck with the research. Like, people are literally complimenting me to do cold outreach instead of hitting me back, spam, unsubscribe, block, like you typically would get in a direct message. So you can see people are just dumping their pain points on me. I can position myself as someone who handles this stuff all the time. Go ahead, book a call. And of course, I'm going to put together that research report. So what is your prescription to pass go and collect 200 new clients? It's going to be sending 25 connection requests a day. Okay. If you do this, you're probably going to be blocked around Thursday, Friday each week because you'll be capped out. You're going to post 1 time a day. You're going to comment for 1 to 2 hours, and you're going to send 5 personal DMs per week to network with other creators. So that's going to be the piece on the organic outreach side. Now, for what I just went through, you're going to message everyone that you connect with on the cold outreach side, and that's going to build you a steady pipeline and stream of prospects to actually go ahead and nurture and book for calls. Now, if you want my exact SOP for doing all of this and you want it tailored to your business, then go ahead and click the link in the description down below. I'd love to chat with you and see how I can go ahead and give you all of my proven client acquisition systems on LinkedIn and many, many other channels that I'll be covering in other videos. But if you want to scale your business right now and want my take on how we go about doing that, then go ahead and book a call. I'd love to chat with you. But that said, that is the entire LinkedIn game. And you can see that once you round all 4 of these corners, you're going to be in a position to actually scale your business, scale your personal brand, scale your lead flow for whatever you're building, and have a predictable way to get clients at 0 cost. So if you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you left me a like and a sub, and I will catch you in the next video.